The morning started like any other in my quiet suburban neighborhood. Sunlight streamed through the leaves, painting dappled patterns on my garage door. Tom Johnson, was meticulously organizing my tools, a weekend ritual of mine. I'm a software engineer by profession, but I find immense satisfaction in working with my hands. Building things, fixing things, it's a grounding experience. I've always been a friendly, easygoing kind of guy. I wave to everyone, offer help with groceries, the typical neighborly stuff. I've never had a crossword with anyone until Lucy Thomas moved in across the street. From day one, Lucy seemed to have a problem with me. It wasn't anything overt at first, just subtle glares, a refusal to return my greetings. I initially brushed it off, figuring she was just having a bad day, or maybe she was naturally reserved. But the negativity persisted, escalating into blatant displays of disapproval. Whenever I washed my car, she'd make a point of watering her lawn excessively, sending a spray my way. If I had friends over for a barbecue, she'd loudly complain about the noise, even if we were just talking at a normal volume. I truly couldn't understand it. I'd rack my brain, trying to figure out what I could have possibly done to offend her. Was it the way I looked? The music I sometimes listened to? Was it as simple as that? The tension came to a head when I started noticing her lurking around my garage. At first, I dismissed it as coincidence. Maybe she was just admiring my vintage Mustang, which I'd been painstakingly restoring. But then I caught her trying to pry open the garage door. I wasn't imagining things. She was actively trying to get inside. That's when the feeling of unease turned to anger and a cold determination to protect my property. I decided to install security cameras, not just for my own peace of mind, but also to document her behavior in case things escalated further. Little did I know, those cameras would soon capture an event that would change everything. I felt like I was walking on eggshells in my own neighborhood, constantly anticipating the next act of hostility from Lucy. I just wanted to live a peaceful life, but she seemed determined to make that impossible. I knew I had to address the situation, but I wanted to do it calmly and rationally, without causing any unnecessary conflict. The security cameras paid off sooner than I expected. Yesterday afternoon, I saw Lucy on the live feed, fiddling with the garage door handle again. This time she was using some kind of tool, a small screwdriver, trying to force the lock. I felt a surge of anger, but I forced myself to remain calm. I walked across the street, the anger simmering beneath the surface. "Lucy," I said, my voice firm but controlled. "What are you doing?" She jumped back, startled, dropping the screwdriver. I wasn't doing anything." "Don't lie to me," I said, gesturing towards the garage door. "I saw you. You were trying to break into my garage." She crossed her arms, her expression hardening. "That's my stuff in there. I deserve it more than you do." "Your stuff? What are you talking about?" "This is my property. I bought everything in this garage with my own money." I pointed to my Mustang, shining proudly in the afternoon sun. "I worked hard for everything that I own, and I won't let you just steal it. You don't deserve any of this," she spat, her voice laced with venom. "You think you're better than everyone else." I was taken aback by her blatant hostility. "That's not true. I've always been friendly to you, to everyone in the neighborhood. I don't understand why you're doing this." She ignored my plea and bent down to retrieve the screwdriver. That's when I snapped. I reached out and grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the garage door. "Enough," I said. "I'm not going to let you damage my property." I quickly pushed the garage door button to close the door and locked it. I didn't want to risk her running inside and causing any further damage or stealing anything. I turned back to Lucy, intending to tell her one last time to leave me alone, but she was already pulling out her phone, a manic glint in her eyes. I instantly knew what she was about to do, and my stomach dropped. This wasn't just about her trying to break into my garage anymore. This was something much more sinister. "I'm calling 911, Lucy declared, her voice trembling with manufactured outrage. "This man just assaulted me." My blood ran cold. "What? That's a lie. I didn't touch you." I quickly thought about the security cameras, praying that they were capturing everything that was going on. She held the phone to her ear, her voice rising in volume. "Yes, I need the police. I've been assaulted by my neighbor. He hit me. He's still here." She glanced at me, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. I couldn't believe what was happening. This woman, who had been harassing me for months, was now fabricating a story to the police, accusing me of assault. The injustice of it all was overwhelming. I tried to reason with her, to appeal to her sense of decency, but it was futile. She was too consumed by her own twisted agenda. I knew that anything I said would only be used against me. The only thing that was on my mind was to stay calm, and hopefully, this would all come to an end soon. "Lucy, please," I pleaded. "This is insane. You know that's not what happened. I have security cameras. The police will see the truth." Her eyes narrowed. "You think anyone is going to believe you? You're nothing but a thug." Her words stung, fueled by prejudice and malice. I felt a knot of anger tighten in my chest, but I resisted the urge to retaliate. I knew that any reaction from me would only validate her false accusations. All I could do was wait for the police to arrive and hope that they would see through her lies. I stood there, frozen in disbelief, as she continued to speak to the 911 operator, embellishing her story with each passing moment. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare orchestrated by a woman who seemed determined to destroy my life. The police arrived within minutes, sirens blaring, lights flashing. 2 officers, a man and a woman, approached us, their expressions stern. Lucy immediately launched into a tearful account of what had supposedly happened, pointing at me and claiming that I had punched her in the face. I tried to explain my side of the story, but the officers seemed more inclined to listen to Lucy's dramatic narrative. "Sir, please step away from the woman," the male officer said, his tone authoritative. I complied, raising my hands in a gesture of non-resistance. "Officer, I did not hit her. She was trying to break into my garage, and I stopped her. I have security cameras that recorded everything." The female officer glanced at Lucy, then back at me. "We'll take a look at the footage later. For now, we need to hear both sides of the story." But it was clear that they had already made up their minds. Without any further questioning, the male officer reached for his handcuffs. "Sir, you're under arrest for assault." The click of the handcuffs around my wrists echoed in the silent street, a sound that I will never forget. I felt a wave of shame and humiliation wash over me as my neighbors emerged from their homes, their faces etched with curiosity and concern. I, Tom Johnson, a law-abiding citizen, was being led away in handcuffs, accused of a crime I didn't commit. I maintained my composure, refusing to let Lucy see the fear and anger that were churning inside me. I knew that my reputation, my livelihood, was on the line. As they escorted me towards the patrol car, I caught the eye of Mrs. Davison, an elderly woman who lived next door. She was standing on her porch, her expression one of disbelief. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, the conflict between what she was witnessing and what she knew about me. I desperately hoped that she would speak up, that she would tell the police the truth about Lucy's behavior. Just as I was about to be placed in the back of the patrol car, Mrs. Davison called out in a steady voice, "Officer, wait." I saw everything. The officer stopped, turning to face her. Lucy's face paled, her eyes widening in panic. "Mrs. Davison, you don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, her voice shaky. Mrs. Davison ignored her, her gaze fixed on the officers. "I saw Lucy trying to break into Tom's garage. He didn't hit her. He just stopped her from damaging his property." The officers exchanged glances, a flicker of doubt crossing their faces. "Are you sure, ma'am?" the male officer asked. "Absolutely," Mrs. Davison replied, her voice unwavering. "I've been watching Lucy's behavior for months. She's been harassing Tom ever since he moved in. She's always making trouble for him." Other neighbors started to chime in, corroborating Mrs. Davison's account. One by one, they spoke of Lucy's constant complaints, her suspicious activities, her blatant animosity towards me. The tide was turning. I could feel the tension in my shoulders begin to ease as the truth began to emerge. The officers removed the handcuffs from my wrists, their expressions apologetic. "Sir, we're sorry for the misunderstanding. We had to follow procedure based on the initial report." "I understand," I said, my voice still trembling with emotion. "But I want to press charges against Lucy for filing a false police report and for attempted burglary." The officers nodded in agreement. They turned to Lucy, who was now visibly shaken, her face contorted with rage and frustration. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for filing a false police report and for attempted burglary." As the officers led Lucy away in handcuffs, a collective sigh of relief swept through the neighborhood. My neighbors gathered around me, offering words of support and encouragement. Mrs. Davison gave my hand a gentle squeeze. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that, Tom," she said. "We all know you're a good man." I thanked her and the other neighbors for their courage and support. I knew that without their willingness to speak the truth, I could have been facing serious charges. The incident had shaken me to my core, but it had also revealed the strength and solidarity of my community. Lucy was never seen in our neighborhood again. I later learned that she had a history of similar incidents in other communities, a pattern of harassment and false accusations fueled by prejudice and resentment. She was eventually convicted and sentenced to community service. In the aftermath of the incident, I felt a renewed sense of appreciation for my life and my community. I installed an even more robust security system, not out of fear, but out of a desire to protect myself and my property. I continue to be friendly and neighborly, refusing to let Lucy's actions define me or change my outlook on life. The experience taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it is difficult. It also taught me that even in the face of prejudice and injustice, the truth will eventually prevail. And most importantly, it reminded me that a strong and united community can overcome any challenge. My days were still long and hard, but they were filled with a sense of joy to be where I was and the people that stood behind me.